Hey. What's up, everybody? Here at LinkedIn and YouTube. Give people a second to get in here. We are live right now on LinkedIn and YouTube, fired up for another Biz Buzz Live. Excited to do this. Today, we're having a conversation. If you are a high income earner over the age of 50, say that again. Very specific, very niche, however you say that word. Niche, whatever. 50 plus, over $130,000, $150,000 a year income. Today's show, we need to pay attention to. Stick around. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Biz Buzz Live. I'm your host, Chris Muzan, helping you through all things finance. Super excited to be here with you this Friday, August the 21st. At the time of recording this, we are live right now on LinkedIn, live on YouTube. Feel free to drop comments in the chat, right? Feel free, if you're over on YouTube, to like and subscribe on the YouTube side of things. Push that bell for notifications so that you can see when we are live, because we try to be live every Friday here for Biz Buzz. But if you're tuning in from LinkedIn, you know where to catch me, right? I'm always here. You're always seeing the content. Thank you for everyone that's been messaging me. Thank you for everyone that's been engaging in dialogue, engaging in conversation around all these topics. There's so much happening in the world right now, ladies and gentlemen. There is so much happening in the economy right now. There's so much happening in our society right now. There's probably a lot happening in your specific area of living, wherever you are in the country. But we got to stay focused and stay diligent. Mentor of mine used to always say, keep the main thing the main thing. Keep the main thing the main thing. And because of that, we got to stay focused, y'all, right? Because of that, we got to stay focused. We got to know that we got to focus on the things that are the most important. We got to focus on things that are most important. And I'm sure we all have things in our lives that are important. But the thesis of this show, the reason why we did Biz Buzz Live, is because as a professional in the financial space, I always say we've done a great job, I think, of giving people information, of educating people about proper products, about what fits them. I think the financial education, financial literacy movement is big. I think it's grand for kids and for young adults. I don't know that it goes so well into like the over 50 side of things. I think people lose, they don't get a ton of help over 50 unless you're just dealing with retirement. But I think the industry has done some really good some good things with products. And inevitably, guys, no matter when someone comes to me or what they want to talk about when we have the initial conversations, whether it's their student loans or their credit card debt or whatever it could be for them, inevitably the conversation comes back to cash flow, with just what comes in and what goes out. And most people have some type of a cash flow issue where they either don't make enough money or they spend all their money because they have high expenses. And this is where we get into the conversations around the economy and cost of living and inflation and taxes and all the stuff that starts going up, that starts eating away at our money. And that's the expense side. That's the money that goes outside, where I don't think the industry has done a good job at all, where I don't think that it's been in people's best interest to do a good job in this area, was to teach people how to earn money, to teach people how to make it, not just figure it out on your own, but actually understand exactly what you need to do to go earn money, right? If the only blueprint we have is go to school, get good grades, get a good job, work at the job, then that's the only way we know how to earn income. But what if there's 100 other ways to earn income? What if those 100 other ways require more skill sets? What if those 100 other ways require a different version of you, a different level of you, any of those types of things? Then we have to learn it, right? That's it. We have to learn this. And I've said this before, we make money at the level of our skill sets, right? We make money at the level of our skill set. So likely if you are not earning enough money, it's probably because you don't have a skill set that can earn you money, or you haven't given that skill set to the marketplace properly or put it out to where you need it to go. Maybe you've only given it to a company, you've only given it to a job. So maybe you just don't know, right? So we got to make sure that we understand how to earn income. That's why we started this show, so that we can start having these conversations around what are the industries to earn income? How do we earn income? What skill sets do we need? What should we be paying attention to and watching out for when it comes to just making money? And so today's conversation, right, we're talking a little bit about, I told you guys in the beginning, this is a very niche, however you want to say it, conversation. If you are over the age of 50 and you would consider yourself a high income earner. Okay. If you're over the age of 50 and you would consider yourself a high income earner. If you're over 50 and you're not a high income earner, you could pay attention to. But specifically, if you're a high income earner over the age of 50, this conversation is going to be for you. Here, let's dive into something I want to share with you before we start talking a little bit about this topic, because I think this will give you some context.
If you're approaching 50, listen up. 10 years ago, I lost my $200,000 plus job. I was the only one working in my household. Hearing HR say, and by the way, you have no benefits after today, was crushing. I struggled for 3 years before I finally got back on track. What I learned in those 3 years was that this was common. You know why? Because I just turned 50. If you're making a lot of money and are approaching or are 50 or over, you might be at risk. So what do? Develop your skills. Find other ways to make money. So if this happens to you, you're ready. Don't be scared. Be prepared. Follow me for more. If you're
So again, we're not saying this to, again, be scared or have fear. But if this is really common, that when you approach a certain age, you start getting pushed out a little bit, especially if you're a high income earner and you're working for a company and you're making a couple $100,000 a year and you're aging up, well, it's likely that they might want to put you on the chopping block, right? They might want to say, like, hey, I don't know if it's worth paying this 53-year-old guy that's been here for 16 years, 18 years, continuing to give him more raises and more PTO and health insurance and all the things, paying him $250,000 a year, when I actually, because of the economy and because all the stuff, I can actually pay this 37-year-old woman $115,000. And they're going to do, if not the same job, a better job. Every company goes through this. Most companies go through this where they put people on the chopping block. So if you again, you heard this gentleman talk about, if you're over 50, this could be you. Like, you could be at risk. And it's not to be scared, it's to be prepared. What does it feel like at the later stages of life if you lost your job? If the job you were relying on to, like he said, take care of your family and pay the mortgage and all the stuff, and you're 57 years old, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, this isn't going to work out anymore, what would you go do? Now, this gentleman said it took him 3 years to kind of get back on track. But through those 3 years, through his hard learnings, he's giving you some insight. And it happens to be the same insight that I've been giving you and sharing with you on the show for quite some time. You've heard me say it, so we're just going to reiterate it. But specifically for those of you that are 50 plus and high income earners. We make money at the level of our skill set. We make money at the level of our skill set. If you were to get laid off, first thing is identifying what are your skill sets? Now, what did you just do for work? Because your title or what you chose to do in that company, it might not translate into the real world or into another industry or into right the place we are right now. So not what did you do for work, not what was the title, what did you do, what were your skill sets, like why were they paying you so much money? What did they think you had? Was it a leadership skill set? Was it a communication skill set? Was it an organization skill set? Was it a people skill set? What skill set were they paying you for? That's the first thing you got to identify. Because most times when people get laid off, we sit down with people all the time that get laid off. What happens is they just think about the same career that they just spent time in, that they just got laid off in. Oh, I've been in HR for 20 years. I need to find another HR position. Well, if you got laid off after 20 years and you go move to the next one, the likelihood of you getting laid off again in 5 years is pretty high. Sure, you might be able to find a better company or more stable company, but all the same things happen and you just get older and older. And again, we're talking to the 50 plus. So if one more, depending on what age you get laid off, if you're 59 years old, it might not look good for you getting hired again in the same role. So the number one thing to identify is, what are my skill sets? If you're 50 plus, you're listening to me right now, like ask yourself that question. Like, what are my skill sets? What do I do well? And once you understand your skill sets, then your next job is to improve them, get new ones, get ones that actually are needed in the time they are today, meaning like in 2026, 2027, as we head into it, what skill sets are needed in order for you to make money? Not the skill sets you had in the past, not what you did for work. Again, what skill sets are needed to make money in the future? See, the best part about being 50 plus, and I'm not, but I'm just gonna tell, right? Like, I guess you could tell me. Matter of fact, if you're 50 plus, drop some comments, right? Like, tell me what's the best part about being 50 plus. But I would imagine that one of the best parts of being 50 plus is you have some wisdom on your side because you've seen some things. So you kind of understand a little bit about how some things work. I don't know what you focus on to know what works, but you might have gone through corporate a few, you might have dealt with a certain group of people for a while, you might have experienced something over and over again at your job. There's something that you would have picked up that is keeping you aware that this is happening over and over again. Like there's more of this stuff happening. And so you have an awareness, right? You have an awareness of things that maybe a 30-year-old doesn't have awareness of. They're like, oh, we saw this 10 years ago, right? Something that's happening right now. We're going through another real estate crisis right now. And people that are aware, that are focused on this stuff, that have been focused on this, that have been in the real estate, finance, right, money industry, all know this is very similar to 2008 situation. Very similar. They're comparing numbers. It might be a little bit on different ends of the spectrum. I heard somebody say on a post that like 2008 forced people to sell, and now 2026 people can't buy, right? So it's more of an affordability issue. But either way, the numbers, the levels, all that stuff is still the same stuff, right? Still the same. Well, if we lived through 2008 and you were aware during that time of like what was happening, then you have now another level of awareness when this happens 18 years later to be like, oh, I remember when that. And if you're 50 plus and you've been paying attention, you probably have some wisdom to understand where things are headed or where things potentially could head, which would help you have a better idea of what skill sets are needed moving forward. You might not go back to school to get a CDL, right? Knowing what technology is doing right now. That might not be like, because you're aware that this probably isn't the move. So first identify your skill sets. Then we got to upgrade the skill sets. We have to like learn what skill sets are needed in 2026 and 27 beyond. And then what do we need to do in order to improve our skill sets in those areas? I might bring this back out, but if you go back into these Biz Buzz lives, go back here on LinkedIn, go back on YouTube, you'll see that we had a conversation about the World Economic Forum, talking about these are the skill sets that are going to be needed to have a job in the next 5 years. Go back and revisit that episode. If you just don't know, right? If you haven't been aware, I gave that because some people are not aware of what skill sets are needed. Some people, I remember having a conversation with a lady and she was like, it bothers me that these kids don't know how to use cash. Like all they know how to do is use a card. And I'm like, because that's probably the life they're going to grow up in. Like a 12-year-old kid may not like actually like have a cashless society in their lifetime. So understanding the skill sets that they will need versus the skill sets that you needed in the past. That's what being aware is. So if you're not aware, go back to one of the shows that we talked about, the World Economic Forum, talking about these are the skill sets that are needed in order for you to make money in the future. One of them, I'll just tell you, right, was the creative thinking. If you want kind of my opinion on this, it's just opinion. You can go back it up in some facts, but if you want my opinion on this, the future is going to go to the creative. The people that are not dull-minded and dull-brained and don't have ideas and like the people that are creative, the people that have creative ideas, labor is going to become commoditized. All these things can be executed quickly. So the future is going to go to the people that can think creatively, that can also use what's the word I'm looking for? It's not creative. It's gosh, I've lost the word. Analytical thinking, maybe? I don't know. But go back and revisit that. Take a listen to it. Anyway, back to you 50s, 50 and olders. As you get older, right? You got to still upgrade. You got to identify the skill sets, not the job title, not what you did for work, the skill sets that were created in there. 2, you got to upgrade those skill sets. You got to upgrade them. And the way you upgrade them is by being aware of exactly what skill sets you're going to need. Like what's going to make you money. Not what job title, not any of those things, like what skill sets are needed. And this is then the tough part, right? The next part of this. The next part is now we need to become more entrepreneur minded. Okay. Now we need to become more entrepreneur minded. I didn't say you need to go start a business right away. I said we need to become more entrepreneurial minded, less employee minded, more entrepreneurial minded, meaning we take more ownership of our life. We take more ownership of our decisions. We take more ownership of all the things. We take more ownership of our time. We take more ownership and control of our emotions and we just own these things more. We've given these things away to a job or to our environment or whatever the case is. You're 50 plus. You're listening to this. You might have never practiced these things. This might not be something that is natural to you. But if you want to go make money, you don't want to be, like the gentleman said, you want to be prepared. You don't want to just be scared about this stuff. You want to be prepared in case you do get laid off because you're a high income earner and you're in your 50s. Well, here's what we should be working on. So after we've upgraded the skill sets, we need to work on becoming more entrepreneur minded. We need to take more ownership. We need to learn what that looks like. How do we do that, right? We learn, we read, we take in new information. And here's the last part to that. After we become more entrepreneur minded, you need to have new conversations with people. You need to have new conversations, meaning you need to go get outside of your current circle. This is why LinkedIn is great, right? We're here live on LinkedIn right now. This is why LinkedIn is great, is because you can, right? It's great that you can put the like open to work, like looking for a career change. Like I just got fired and now I'm looking for this thing. And you'll have people that look at you, right? You're putting out a post and you have people looking at you to say like, oh, he might be qualified. She might be qualified for this. And you're hoping that people kind of point you in the right direction. Here's the entrepreneurial minded way to do the same thing. You go figure out, again, if you do all these things, right? What skill sets do you have? Where did you upgrade your skill sets? All those things. And now you're at the place where you're entrepreneur minded. You're taking ownership of this decision. You've understood your skill sets. Now we need to go have new conversations. Well, who would you have conversations with? people that could potentially use your skill set. You have to go seek the people that potentially can use your skill set. If you've already identified what skill set you have, and you've identified where that skill set can be used, or like how it could be used, now you're on a platform like LinkedIn. Now you're at your local, BNI group or your local meetups or whatever, and you're having conversations with people that you probably don't know, or that you haven't met yet, that potentially could point you in the direction, or themselves could use the skill sets you just identified. It might be in the form of them giving you a job. It might be in the form of you consulting for them. It might come in the form of you starting a business together and partnering together in a business. It might be that they just point you in the right direction of your next job, or of the person that could use your skill set. But at the end of the day, you got to go have new conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard me say it before. I'll say it again. New conversations lead to new opportunities, lead to new money. New conversations that you have with new people lead to new opportunities that you potentially could be given or could be pointed in the right direction of. And guess what that'll lead you to? New money. It'll lead you to a way to earn income differently than you had before. Guys, this is the process. If you're, again, 50 and over listening to this, even if you're not 50 and over listening to this is still the process. If you, again, instead of having fear that you potentially could get laid off, just get prepared. If you know that you're a high income earner, you're making a couple $100,000 a year on a W-2, you're on the chopping block, buddy. You're on the chopping block, ma'am. Right? Like, the higher up you go, the more there's a bullseye on your back, the more they're going to try to lower that, right? Unless you're bringing a ton of value to the bottom line, they're going to try to take your salary and remove it from the bottom line. This is just what will happen over time. Like, I know you might want to stay at that company forever. They don't want you there forever. You want to know how I know that? By the way, I have some statistics for you. It said that there's a statistic that says that 22% of workers aged 50 and older felt that they were pushed out of work. So like a quarter of workers 50 and older said they felt they were pushed out of work. Not that like they were ready to go. That they were pushed out of work. And that's from AARP. Another one said 64% of workers ages 50 and older said they had seen or experienced age discrimination. More than half, 64%, 65%. So whether you choose, like you say that you want to be there, they may not want you there. They may be a company that will discriminate against your age. They may be a company that slowly pushes you out because you make too much money and you're getting older. You, ladies and gentlemen, have to just be prepared. And we just went over a bunch of things today on how to get prepared, right? Identify your skill sets, upgrade your skill sets. Okay. After you upgrade your skill sets, you got to understand what skill sets are going to be needed for the future. That's why you're upgrading them, so you can figure out, hey, what skill sets are going to be needed in the future. Now, you start having some new conversations with people, and we need to get more entrepreneur minded. We need to start taking ownership of this decision. Never said this process is going to be easy, but take the wisdom from the guy you heard at the beginning of this that said it took him 3 years to get back on track. If you get laid off and you're 54 years old, let's not take 3 years. Let's start the process now, because that's how you're going to be able to weather whatever storm is up ahead if you lose your high income earning position. Listen, companies are squeezing people out left and right. It's happening. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared and finding other ways to make money. Just so you all know, I share this with you guys, pretty often, to let you know that we just started our Financial Clarity Club. And we have a few more slots open for people that want to register and be in the first 50. We said the first 50 people that register are going to get their first 3 months free inside of this Financial Clarity Club. We're not just giving you like financial information, right? The internet has plenty of financial information. Most of it you don't even know if it's true or works for you or any of those things. But here's what most people don't have. We don't have a community of people to talk about our money with. We don't have a community of people that we can learn from when it comes to money. We don't have a place where we can be open and transparent and talk about it with professionals. You might have a little circle, right? I see this a bunch. You and your three women friends that are like, we're going to get our finances in order this year. And you all just, right, say it. And then all of y'all go out to dinner together. And all of y'all want to travel together. And all of y'all want to do the things that are not helping you get financially free because you're not working with an expert. You're all at the same level. And so you have to work with experts. You have to work with people that are professionals to get you to where you want to go. And so we created this financial clarity club so you could have a community, right? So you could have a community of people that could help you get to where you want to go financially. It takes a village. Life and business are team sports. Transparency is important. One of the reasons why the mental health crisis has gotten better is because now we're more vocal about mental health, because now we're talking about it more, because now there's more podcasts and more, books and more ways to access it, better help and all these ways to get access to it. That's why it's gotten better. Well, we're in a bit of a financial crisis in case you haven't realized it or figured that out. And one of the things that we are trying to do here at United Agency is we're trying to solve some of these issues. And one of the things we see is most people just don't have accountability and don't have a community of people that know what they're talking about to help you get to where you want to go financially. So that's why we created the Financial Clarity Club. You see the link down there. If you want to jump in, register, it's going to be awesome. Again, we hold a few different lives throughout the month. We try to bring on an expert to talk something finance, but most importantly, the community that's there. We want to be able to have a space that's closed that we can just talk about money in the way that we feel like we need to. So support it, jump on, make sure that you log in and register. Like I said, we only have a few more spots left, but it's going to be really, really beneficial and add a ton of value to your life or the people's lives around you that want to get ahead financially. So ladies and gentlemen, it's always been fun. Every Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, we jump on and we talk about this type of stuff. How do we go make money? How do we earn money? What industry should we be paying attention to? At the end of the day, how do we build our financial life? How do we build our cash flow so that our financial life continues to grow? Stay locked in here. Find me on any other platform. Shoot me a message if you need to. But we'll be back here next Friday for another episode of Biz Buzz. All right. Until next time, y'all. Peace.